Um, Jim, your side of the ball for Ches and Braylon. If you were defensive coordinator scheming against those guys, what's to their individual skill sets? What problems do those cause for a defense trying to slow them down?
I mean, anytime you have backs that complement each other, right? Especially if the scheme is if they're tweaking things based on which back's in the game, it can cause some issues because those guys are obviously different runners, very effective in what they do and talented. So anytime you see that kind of mix of speed and power, quickness, power, like it can cause some trouble for a defense just having to react back and forth, even though you're in the same calls, right? You're seeing the same formations, but sometimes how you're getting attacked, and especially once you finally get that one-on-one on the running back, it changes in a lot of ways.
Jim, what do you see from a guy like Tyler Linderbaum, Iowa center, and then what does your defensive line have to do against a guy like that?
Yeah, obviously he's getting a lot of hype, and it's much deserved. He's as good as there is in the country playing offensive line, and you see him win with physicality, you see him win with quickness, you see the communication and kind of how he manages the rest of that offensive line. Extremely impressive, and he's done it for a long time. So we know him. We understand the challenge we're up against. He makes guys around him better. There's no question about that, and you see that play in and play out, and pretty impressive with what he's been able to do up front this year. And it's fun to watch. It's not fun to scheme against, right? It's good football, very high level football. So tip of the cap to him. He's doing a great job.
Obviously, there's a lot at stake for both teams Saturday, but I'm just wondering, how much of a pride standpoint is there when you have two of the top defenses in the country facing off? From your perspective, how much of just a sense of pride is there to try to prove you're the best defense on the field and that type of thing?
Yeah, I think, there's an amount of respect we have for each other. We do it in different ways, right? We play our style of defense. They play their style of defense. There's similarities in what we do, but there's a lot of differences. And I think I have at least an amount of respect for what they do and the consistency that they do it with. It's hard to get caught up. We're not playing their defense, right? We have to challenge their offense. We have to get off the field on third down. We got to stop the run. We got to do all those things. There's an amount of respect, but like I said, we get to play their offense. They get to play our offense, and we kind of have to focus on that throughout the course of the week, even though we have a level of respect. And we do want to be the best defense on the field. You want to walk off that field knowing that you did everything you could and you outperformed them, whether it was yards, points. Number one, right, points, getting that win at the end of the game. And we know we have to play really well in order to get that done this week.
Jim, has there been a switch that's been flipped on Leo really ever since the Minnesota game from last year? Because I don't remember seeing a defensive player be that dominant, missing the first two games of the season and still leading your team in tackles. It seems like he's spending more time in the backfield than your opponents right now.
He's really good. I think that switch has been flipped on for quite a while with Leo, but at the same time, you see the growth he has had from last year to this season, and right now he's hot. And as a coordinator, it's my job to continue to find opportunities for him to just be aggressive and get downhill, and it's really cool to see a guy just elevate his game, which he was already playing at a high level. And we got a lot of guys playing extremely well, and when you can stand out in that group, you're doing some good things. So just proud of Leo and the prep that he's done. Obviously playing with a big chip on his shoulder, having missed those first couple games, and just a great leader for us. And you guys know the energy he brings every single day, and every game day especially. It's really easy to see that guys love playing with him and playing off of him.
Jim, you talk about eye discipline a lot, and there were a couple of plays where it looked like Purdue tried to mess with your guys, the flea flicker, and then where they had the three quarterbacks on the field. Could you stop both of them? Can you take us through those plays and what led your guys to do the right things to stop both of those plays?
Yeah, I think you knew going into the game, right? That's a big element of what Purdue does. They love to mess with your eyes. I came out of that game saying Purdue's, especially what they're doing in the pass game, is really tough. It challenges you in a number of ways. We were able to stop the run. Obviously, we were able to get into some different looks that we hadn't shown, different coverages, things like that, because we were able to stop the run. But they do challenge you in a number of ways, and with that eye discipline and how quickly, some of the things with the tight end, getting vertical, getting across the formation, very hard. I mean, there are a couple calls where you're on that's tip of the cap once again to them, man. That's the hardest situation we could be in, and they hit it at the right time. So, like what they were able to do on offense, it stressed us out. We had to make some adjustments. But yeah, we're seeing more and more things to try to slow us down, right? Any good defense, any defense that's really running to the football and stopping the run, they're having to try to get a little creative to create space. They're having to do some things to really mess with our eyes and kind of our fits and how we're playing pass coverage. So our guys are adapting well to it. As you said, we made some adjustments in the game. They hit the flea flicker, and we were able to stop it. Caesar Williams, great man coverage, right? He's got a man-to-man rep. Fayon Hicks is on the other side, and he kind of gets help with the post safety, which is great, having that ability. But it really came down to Caesar winning his one-on-one, two-man route concept, and obviously he did a great job, and we're able to get the sack off of it. And then, you put three quarterbacks on the field. I don't know what's coming, but I know it's not traditional. And Noah Burks really saved us on the play. He did a great job. And it's funny because we went back to practice on Thursday. I think we tried 4 or 5 gadgets, and I think he stopped 4 of them himself. The experience he has, the consistency, the understanding this something doesn't feel right, just played with a lot of awareness on that snap, and was big to get us out of it, because they tried to sneak the tight end out of there, and he was able to get on it long enough to get Big Tree chasing the quarterback.
There have been some challenges for the program on and off the field this season. How have you seen Paul kind of handle those, and just have you seen a change in him, or has he been the same type of guy throughout these challenges?
I mean, I think the one thing guys respect about Coach Chryst is his consistency. So I think he's trying to have that focused approach, and he's a coach that wants to coach and develop and teach and really on and off the field. So I think the thing he's trying to provide right now is that consistency, and get guys to understand, like, the sky's not falling. Like, we got beat early by some really good teams because we didn't play well. Well, a lot of teams in the country would have loved to be in our position then and would love to be in our position now. So the adversity hits, you have to continue to push through it, and we ask consistency from our guys day in and day out, and I think as coaches that's the number one thing you can try to provide for them, right, with your mindset, with your approach, and how you attack the game. And that doesn't mean you're not changing, right? It doesn't mean you're not evolving, trying to get better, but you are trying to provide that consistency for guys.
I'm just wondering, league-wide, it seems a lot of Big Ten offenses are really struggling in the red zone, which consequently means a lot of defenses are playing really, really well in the red zone. From your perspective, why has that been the case? Why has it been tough for teams to get touchdowns once they get inside the 20 this year?
I mean, I think a big emphasis in the Big Ten is still stopping the run, right? And pretty much league-wide, you're seeing teams, dedicate to stopping the run. So I think when teams are not 100% confident in their quarterbacks, it's going to limit what you do in the pass game once the field shrinks. So I would say that's, good defense, right? Strong, consistent, not giving up cheap plays, and stopping the run, and really forcing teams to execute in limited space down there, which some quarterbacks are not comfortable doing. They like things, especially you get into some of the spread offenses. To me, it's not that you're in the gun versus under the center and the run changes. They're used to a lot of space. And you get down in the red zone, and that changes a lot, right? They can't work the field vertically and horizontally. So I think there's a little bit of that, but anytime you can make teams one-dimensional, it helps you out on defense, and I think that's the one constant a lot of defenses in the Big Ten are doing is forcing teams to throw the football, forcing teams to execute on the perimeter of the defense rather than running for touchdowns, which has happened in some other places.
Jim, John Torchio has been making plays when he's been given opportunities. Where have you seen him grow the most over the last couple of years?
I think just a consistency, personality-wise, he's just a laid-back guy. And I think at times you just try to get him to push and go hard or try, just his personality. It's not that he's not trying hard. It's just kind of the way he carries himself. And I think right now the biggest thing that we talked about all offseason was having that urgency and just playing fast. He has great instincts, and that's why he is around the football a lot and played a solid game against Army, made some good tackles, came up, played physical, and then you flip it this game, and he's making plays in space, gets the interception, gets a PBU on one over the middle, and with the experience, he's just getting around the football more and more. So excited about what he's doing, and like I said, he has some great instincts. He's got a great feel for the pass game, and especially playing with vision on the quarterback, which is something we've struggled with a little bit early on in the season. And I think he's earning more opportunities. He's already had plenty of opportunities, but he's earning more and more reps with the consistency that he's playing with right now.
Jim, do your guys face a dramatic change in how they will be attacked this week going from Purdue to Iowa, or is it or is it somewhat similar?
Yeah, huge change in how they try to attack. I mean, Purdue is very much rhythm, timing, get everybody in the routes, put a lot on the quarterback, whereas Iowa is more run, play action, nakeds, the schemes change. They'll still get to some of their quick game and work the vertical passing game, but so much more works off of the run game, whereas Purdue, some of their elements, and a lot of the ones they ended up having success with were off of run action and things like that, but it wasn't their go-to, right? It's not what they do play in and play out. So definitely different, these guys using multiple tight ends and fullback, putting him back on the field. So different approach, different spacing, a lot of different concepts in the pass game, but similar to what we see on a day-to-day basis from our offense. So that definitely helps when you get into a week like this.